Our topic today is Journey to the Manger. And so you know the story, most of you know the story. The shepherds were tending their sheep and the angels came to tell them of the birth, and they embarked on their journey to the manger. And the Magi, who had prophesied this for quite some time, saw the star and they knew it was time, and they embarked on their journey to the manger. And somehow or another, the message got to the little drummer boy, and he too made his journey to the manger. But then some archives have turned up that there was a person turned away from the manger. And it hits my heart so deeply. And I've got a sample of this here. It was the banjo player. We banjo players take umbrage and carry a deep, deep burden. So we'll celebrate in our own way, but not at the manger. At any rate, truth be told, we're all invited to embark on the journey, and no one is turned away. This is the journey, the ultimate pilgrimage to the birthright of our souls. Now, I don't know, there are probably some of you of varying faith paths here, but regardless of your spiritual background or even lack of, I invite you to journey to this phenomenon we're going to talk about, the manger. I invite you to journey there. It just could change it all for the better for you. So as we delve into that story, we know where the manger isn't, and it's in the inn, which is a symbol of the outer dimensions of life, the loud, the blaring, the superficial, the hustle and the bustle, the harshness of the intellect. There's no room there for something deeper. So we know that the manger was in a stable. A stable. May we let that symbolize to us the heart. The heart. Ah, yes, we must journey to the heart, that natural, humble, extraordinarily powerful center in every one of us. And there it is that something great is birthed. And I'm telling you, you journey to this heart sincerely. Something great is birthed in you. Now, it is called, in our teaching, the inner Christ. Emmett Fox, another great metaphysician, he called it the wonder child. Gene Houston called it the God seed. In the Bible, it talks about Christ in you, your hope of glory. Not just the historical Christ, but Christ in you, every one of us, our hope of glory. Christ, that word comes from the Greek, Christos, which means anointed. And so it was that this enlightened master, most likely in his lost years, as they are called, delved into the spiritual depths within and communed with the mighty Spirit of God. He communed with that power within him, and he so realized that this is who he fundamentally is and was, that he became anointed, meaning he shed the lesser image and knowledge of himself, the worldly human image and knowledge of himself, and he took on fully his spiritual birthright as an emissary of light and of love. And then he made it his mission to seed this in the collective consciousness of humankind, so that in the fullness of our days, we could make manifest, we could draw on this dormant but powerful truth of us and start bringing it into expression. And then he set out to exemplify the power of this that he had discovered within himself. And he was very clear that he was not setting himself up as the great exception, but as the great example. And he said, the kingdom of God, it's not up there. It's not over there. The kingdom of God is within you. Now, you've probably heard that said before, but will you open to that for a moment? Really, really open. The kingdom of God, the all-creative love and intelligence of this universe, is within you. Yeah, within you as you go about your daily goals and challenges and deal with your problems and deal with a lot of old mistaken ideas about yourself. The truth is always the kingdom of God is right within you. And we can journey to the manger and experience that. And that great teacher also said, the things that I have done shall you do also, and even greater things shall you do. So the message of Christmas is that there's a higher, greater self in every one of us. It is the spiritual essence of our being. You've got a body, you've got a mind, you've got emotions, you've got things going on in your life, but here's who you really are. You are a luminous light being and an emissary of love. And there comes a time when we wend our way to the heart and we realize this greater self within us. And then we find that we are empowered and that we can unleash the extraordinary, matchless power of love. Not the love as we talk about it romantically and stuff in our minds, but a love that's the very glue of the universe, the very heartbeat of life itself, the very essence of God. God is love. Not God is loving, but God is love. And they that dwell in love dwell in God, and God in them. And as we take this journey to the heart and we discover this love, we get to step out, as Jesus did. We get to shed the old skin. We get to shed all of the mistaken ideas we've taken on in our upbringing and beyond. We get to shed our sense of being bound by the past. We get to shed all that God can't use, and we stop being expressions of fear and forcing. Our whole motivation shifts from fear and forcing, and we are about love and grace. And when we know this, then the activity of our spiritual self, it starts to increase within us. And we find that we're walking in a brand new way in this life. That's why this time is so precious, so important for all of us to make personal. Our founder, Ernest Holmes, wrote, "Here's the mystery of Christmas. You are a child of the universe, and there is no thing more wonderful than you. Your heart is the birthplace for the divine concept to be born. You are a light unto the world, a messenger of peace and joy. You are a herald of the new era. This is a time of turning to the lighted consciousness of limitless love, which sustains the precious Christ within you." This is the time. Now it seems that wherever the new and the advanced seeks to come forth, there is often a tyranny of the older and the lesser against it. Have you noticed that? It's similar to what happens in the caterpillar as it heeds the call to what it can't even comprehend, but that is its next stage. And it spins the cocoon, and then scientists tell us that dormant cells they call imaginal cells, and I just love that phrase, imaginal cells that carry the database and the blueprint for the organism to be. These imaginal cells come out of dormancy and begin to express themselves to create the shift. But what happens is that the immune system of the caterpillar goes to war against these imaginal cells. And the only way they can survive and do their work is that they bond together. And they share their genetic information across these bonds, and they maintain their power and eventually prevail. And it does seem then that the wonder child in us, that there's tyranny upon tyranny that seeks to squelch this uprising that could change everything, that could uproot the power structures of the ego, that seems to want to put it away Now, some of these are blatant, blatant tyranny against the inner Christ coming forth. In the story, that's represented by Herod, who was so threatened by his hearing of the birth of Jesus that he decreed that all male babies 2 years and younger were to be killed. Now, of course, Mary Joseph got out of there and went to Egypt with Jesus and escaped that. But that's a symbol of the blatant tyranny that the greater in humanity faces. It's the prevailing and the ever-increasing volume of hate and bigotry and prejudice and black and white, right-wrong thinking and we-they thinking. It's the prevailing fears, because there are aspects of our culture, especially in the West, that absolutely do not want you to reveal your power, because you're going to become independent. You're not going to need what they're offering, and you're not going to buy what they're selling. They want you to be afraid, because you can manipulate and sell to fearful people. So they don't want you to know this truth. They want you to fear God. Not know God as love. They want you to fear God. They want you to believe that heaven is up there and there's an alternative hell down there. And that's where you're probably heading, unless. No, a tyranny against what that great enlightened master came to teach us. But you know, what he did and who he was seeded something indelibly in the collective consciousness of all humankind. And it cannot be finally obscured or destroyed. In us individually, the tyranny is that we cling to ideas of low self-worth and inadequacy, ultimately even self-rejection, rather than discovering a greater self, something born of the divine, something that's immaculate, something that's powerful beyond measure. And we can find that if we'll journey to the heart. Not here. Stay locked here. You won't find it. But we can journey to the heart. And we can commune with that great love. Yeah, they're the blatant tyrannies of the collective and the individual life. And then they're the tyranny of the mundane. The tyranny of the mundane. And that's just the symbol for our busyness and the noise of life and our misplaced values, our skewed values in life, our materialism. And those in a less blatant but still powerful way are a tyranny against the truth of us. From one perspective, there are many heartbreaks in this world. Week by week, we read of, hear of, see the tragedies and the travesties going on our planet. And here's a perspective we can take, that these are all indicators of the essential immaturity of collective human consciousness. And just as many of us have required pain for our awakening, to stimulate our awakening, so too the pain of what we are creating challenges us to take the next step in our evolution in this life, to take that journey to the heart, to realize that this is where our power is. And what's beautiful in this day is that there's even research corroborating what mystics of old have said, is that the most intelligent, powerful center in you is not this computer, which simply receives the data it's given and spews it out. The most powerful center in you and me is the heart. Not only does it open us to the love of the divine, but more than anything, it helps us realize ourselves as more than our bodies, more than our minds, more than what we're feeling. We realize we're that pure awareness that can observe all of that, yet is somewhat independent of that. And that pure awareness of you, that spiritual essence of you, partakes of the ocean of the divine love in which it lives, moves, and has its being. And thus, when we start living by the leadership of the heart, we start attracting higher ideas, deeper resources and possibilities within us that all that we've acquired in our intellect cannot equal. The intellect isn't a bad thing. It's meant to be a tool of the heart. It's not meant to be the leader of our lives. And when we get this message and take this great journey, then we also realize there's a tremendous amount of joy and good and light in this world as well. And we start realizing that we can participate in that. That as we fuse the mind and the heart and the body and all our purposes with the heart and with love, then we become co-creators of a new heaven and a new earth. And we begin to see that there is a wave cresting in human consciousness of awakening. And yeah, there's a lot of pain going on, given the immaturity in the collective. But we can be harbingers of this new era. And also, we can return to the power of life. Oh, I tell you, this journey to the heart. I pray that this Christmas, it will be a time of etching for you. You etch it into your awareness. I'm more than what I usually think I am. And I want to unleash and unloosen these energies. And I want to draw from the greater. And I want to let my life, the frequency of my consciousness, go to ever expanded levels. You'll find some gifts await us when we take this journey to the manger of the heart. The first is transforming love. We'll find that there's a love here that is greater than anything we've ever conceived. It's a love that not only fills us and helps us realize that we're good, that we're God intended. And the pain we carry about ourselves, it's not truth. And this love can dissolve it. And even the pain that we may experience in life, something about this love helps us realize we're more than that. We walk through that, but we're more than that. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me and within me. We come to know this. As an author that I read, she had been praying for the healing of her granddaughter, who was very, very ill. And then to her great shock and sadness, the granddaughter passed over. Her soul's pathway was not to stay. And this author fell into a deep depression for many months. And she kept praying to understand, why did this happen? Why? But then all of a sudden she had an inspiration. And there are times when this journey to the manger begins, the wayposts are some insights and inspiration. She changed her prayer. And she began to pray to have a God experience. In her own words, she says, when life hands us up situations we cannot understand, we have one of two choices. We can either wallow in misery, feeling separated from God, or we can declare, God, I need to feel your presence. And I trust that I'll know what I need to know. I choose love. And I trust that I need that more than understanding. I'll know what I need to know when I need to know it. And something shifted. And though she still grieved her granddaughter, she felt the fullness of life. And she went on to do many wonderful things. There's a love that grows us beyond the conditions we meet and greet on this life path. I mean, we all experience losses in this life, changes in this life, and yet there's something that holds us and will not let us go. I want you to know that today. If you'll journey to the manger, you can experience this transforming love. You've got to surrender to it, though. It's not about analyzing it or figuring it out. It's giving yourself to it. And you'll also find the gift of healing release. That this love allows you to let go of the junk you're not designed to carry. It allows you to begin to let wounds, some of them time-honored, heal in your life. What a great thing it is at Christmas to say, what grievance, what resentment, what upset, what hurt is it high time for me to let go of? Because I can't spread my wings and fly I'm withholding all of this. What's it time to release? And I know there are times we're apt to say, yeah, but I can forgive a lot of stuff, but not that. Well, this love, oh yeah, we can. This love knows no bounds unless we give it bounds. I'm always inspired by the example of Immaculée Ilibagiza. We've had her here speaking. She was introduced mostly to the world by our dear friend Wayne Dyer. She grew up in a small village in Rwanda. She was very bright. She went to college, to university. And she had a Easter break in 1994 and came home to visit. From that time on, her life would never be the same. At that time, there were two basic tribes in Rwanda, the Hutu and the Tutsi. The president was a Hutu, and his plane was shot down while she was at home visiting. And that started this massive war going on. And the Hutu were going to murder and slaughter all the Tutsi they could. So this genocide began. Immaculee's father sent her to a pastor to be sheltered, and the pastor took Immaculee in along with 7 other women. And he gave them shelter in a second bathroom of his, which was only 3 feet by 4 feet. 8 women in a space 3 feet by 4 feet, huddling as this genocide is raging. And the pastor moved a wardrobe in front of the bathroom door so it wouldn't be discovered. And yet they huddled in fear as the raging was going on outside. They could hear it, they could see it. The house was searched a number of times, but they weren't found. But in that bathroom, not only was it physically uncomfortable and she was starving, but she had a war going on within her. She found herself hating the Hutu. She found herself filled with revenge and resentment and anger. And she prayed about it. She did the Lord's Prayer. She tried to skip over the part that said, forgive me my trespasses as I forgive those who trespass against me. She couldn't say it. Until one night, late at night, she had an epiphany. Again, a way sign as we journey to the manger of heart. And she saw reflected on the tiles of that bathroom, on one side she saw all of those who were purveyors of hate in history, some of the key images of the purveyors of hate. And then on the other side she saw those who had been emissaries of light and love and nonviolent change and growth for humankind. And the voice said, choose the side you shall be on. Choose which you shall be. And she got it. And she chose love. And she felt a transformation in that moment, though she was still huddled in that small little bathroom, that remade her world. She felt like, even though it was stuffy in there, she felt spiritual fresh air flooding to her and through her. She was free, though still huddling for her safety. Well, after 91 days, those women were let free. They were free. The carnage had stopped. She left there weighing 65 pounds. She found that her whole family had been massacred except for one brother who was studying abroad, and that almost 1 million of her Tutsi tribe had been massacred. And of course she had to take all that in, as any of us would. We're in the world, but we're not of it. She still had that larger sense of life and being in her. So much so that several weeks after that, as she had regained her strength, she would go to a prison and she would sit down in front of the man who killed her mother and one of her brothers and have the capacity to say with every ounce of her heart, I forgive you. I forgive you. Oh, you never doubt the power of this transforming love that's here for you and me at the manger. And finally, what you'll find at the manger is the gift of enlivening purpose. I mean, sometimes it's possible to walk through this, to walk bent over in this life inwardly, just trudging along, being drug along in this life. But then there's that time when we discover the greater self that is the intention of God in us, to be a spiritually alive being, and we start living again. Yeah, we still have problems, we still got stuff going on, but we realize I'm bigger than this diagnosis. I'm always bigger than this problem. My past is no longer a prison in my life. and it's new energy. We become re-enchanted. And it's easy to do at Christmas time because the child within us jumps for joy, but we can be consistently re-enchanted. We can walk with a sense of the magic and the goodness of life no matter what junk lower human consciousness is creating. And we can be a light in that darkness. We can find a renewed sense of purpose in our heart of hearts. Oh, I've always loved the quick little story of little Wallace Perling, who was cast as the innkeeper in the nativity pageant. And his job when Joseph and Mary, the kids playing Joseph and Mary, came to the door, he says, "No, we're full." And he said it several times, "No, we're full." And Joseph would plead, "We need a room. My wife is pregnant." "No, we're full." And so Joseph and Mary turn away. And in the play, Wallace, he turns around and says, "Wait, you can have my room. You can have my room." And that's what the heart of us wants to do, is we want to make room for the joy, make room for the light, because it's no longer just a concept and theory, it's a living reality. And we become anointed in that, in the manger of our hearts. Yeah, there's magic in the manger for you and me. I want to close with this quote from a wonderful, lovely theologian we've had here in the past as well, Bishop John Shelby Spong, tremendous writer. He says, "My suggestion is that you separate mystery from history and then enter into and enjoy the mystery of the season. Dream of peace on earth and goodwill among men and women, and then dedicate yourself to bringing that vision into being." There we have it. Gifts as we journey to the manger. Transforming love, healing release, and enlivening purpose. Exactly what you're designed to not only enjoy, but to express. Let's have a prayer together. Another opportunity in this yearly cycle to focus on a power center, the manger, the heart. And what I know is that it's not for me to just travel here during this season. I seek to go to the manger every day, to journey out of the illusions and into reality. But there's only one life, one power, one presence, divine. That life, that power is God, the Holy of Holies, the Alpha, the Omega, the beginning and the ending, infinite, unconditional, eternal love, imparting itself into all of its creation in a unique and fabulous way. This day I invite you to sense that heart space. And as you gently place your awareness there, sense the quickening. Sense the warming. And let this vibration move through you. Let it move through and bless your body temple. Let it move through your mind and bring peace where there may have been confusion or hyperactivity. Let it move through your emotional field and bring release. And just be in this light. Claim this. This is the dormant, imaginal cells of the Christ. Christ in you. Your hope of glory, your hope of a life of meaning, your hope of the exquisite joys of love and sharing and service, of co-creating with your source new expressions of grace and good. the opportunity to link with other open, evolving beings, knowing a higher truth for all people everywhere, across all apparent boundaries of religion and ethnicity, relational orientations, or any of the other things we use to divide us, spanning beyond that into the oneness. Let us affirm and know together, this is who I am. And I'm just barely acquainted with it. I'm stepping into God's idea of me. And I know it is based on love, and it's about love. It's about following love's guidance, seeing the face of God wherever I go, and cherishing the miracle of life. And I give thanks that as I visit this place, day by day, its activity grows stronger in me. And I see with new eyes, I hear with new ears. The industry of my hands shifts. And I find myself on purpose again. I give thanks for this truth active in you and me this day, and for this beautiful season as we light a candle within our hearts. We let the light shine. I love you. I give thanks for this truth. And we go forward into a new day. Let's let it be so. And then so it is. Amen.